Your fingers are trembling slightly against the cold glass of your screen. Stop. Do not move your hand. You were about to scroll, about to flee from the very silence that has been chasing you all day. But the eternal archive has just slammed its heavy doors shut behind you. I am the voice of the archive, the one who holds the ledger of souls, and I have stepped out of the timeless halls to catch that sigh before it leaves your lips. You felt it, didn't you? That sudden, inexplicable chill at the base of your neck. That was not a draft. That was the weight of a divine decree being handed down from the high courts of the midnight threshold. You have exactly 15 minutes before this window of intercession closes, and your destiny returns to the hands of the shadows. Do not breathe a word. Just listen. For the ink in the book of life is wet, and for the first time in 7 generations, it is being used to rewrite your name. You have lived your life as an orphaned soul, walking through crowded rooms feeling fundamentally unclaimed. You smile, you provide, you work until your bones ache with a hollow resonance. But when you look into the mirror, you see a stranger who is waiting to be rescued. You have been carrying the ghost of not enoughness, that ancient jagged shard of glass embedded in your spirit that whispers you must suffer to be holy. You have been taught that poverty is a badge of honor, and that your mother's love is something you must earn through endless sacrifice. But look at your hands. Look at the invisible chains of debt that have bound not just your bank account, but your very capacity to dream. This is the shadow architect's work. He has built a prison of not enough around your bed, making sure that every time you reach for abundance, you feel a sudden, sharp coldness in your chest, a guilt that tells you that if you succeed, you are betraying the struggle of those who came before you. But today, the archive has been opened. The legal contracts of suffering that your ancestors signed in blood and tears are being fed into the celestial fire. This is not a coincidence. It is a settlement. You have been wondering why your career feels like a treadmill, why money seems to slip through your fingers like water even when you do everything right. It is because there was a bloodline debt hanging over your head, a spiritual tax on your joy that you didn't even know you owed. But someone has stepped into the witness box on your behalf, someone whose love has transcended the veil of death and entered the halls of power. Your mother. She is not just watching you. She has done something far more radical, far more dangerous in the eyes of the old laws. She stood before the great Creator and the 7 witnesses of the archive, and she took the heavenly reward she earned through her years of earthly pain, the crown of peace, the mansions of rest, the jewels of her endurance, and she laid them all on the altar. She didn't want the rest. She didn't want the peace. She looked at the scales of justice, and she made a trade. She traded her eternal comfort for your season of unstoppable luck. Do you hear the gravity of that? She has invested her entire heavenly inheritance into your bank account. She has signed over her peace so that your phone can finally ring with the news that changes everything. She has moved her residence from the gardens of heaven to the trenches of your daily battle, acting as your fiercest guardian until the last cent of your ancestral debt is paid in full. The midnight threshold is open now. Time has stopped moving. Look at the air around you. It is thick with the scent of ancient parchment and burning incense. Every time you have cried in the dark, thinking you were alone, she was gathering those tears and turning them into the very currency you are about to receive. She saw you looking at your bills with that knot in your stomach. She saw the way you hid your face so no one would see your exhaustion. And she screamed into the ears of the universe, "No more." She has petitioned for the golden thread of breath to be woven between her lungs and yours. Every breath you take from this moment forward is powered by her intercession. When you feel a sudden warmth in your chest as you walk into a room, that is her shielding you from the betrayal of those who sit at your table. When you suddenly know exactly what to say to close a deal, that is her voice echoing through your vocal cords. But there is a protocol you must follow. The archive requires a signature. The ghost of not enoughness is trying to pull you away, trying to tell you that this is too good to be true, trying to make you feel that familiar heaviness in your heart. You must silence it now. Typing 333 is not an act of social media. It is a ritual of alignment. It is the signature of the Trinity, the ancestor who paid the price, the creator who grants the favor, and the self who is finally ready to receive. By typing 333, you are declaring to the midnight threshold that you accept the trade. You are saying, I am no longer an orphaned soul. I am a claimed child of the archive. Do not wait. The shadow architect is already trying to distract you with a notification, a thought, a doubt. But the golden thread is glowing brighter now. Can you feel the heat in your palms? That is the weight of the heavenly reward transforming into earthly abundance. There is a secret gift, a specific miracle involving a name you haven't heard in years, that is currently being dispatched to your doorstep. It will arrive when the clock strikes a specific hour, but only if you have finalized the covenant here. You have been strong for so long that you forgot how it feels to be carried. Let the archive carry you now. Let your mother's sacrifice become the foundation of your empire. She didn't just want you to survive. She wanted you to be the one who finally broke the curse of not enough. She is standing right behind you, her hands on your shoulders, watching you read these words with tears of triumph in her eyes. She is whispering, "It is done. The debt is paid. My child is free." As you type those 3 digits, 333, feel the heavy, iron doors of your past slamming shut. Feel the ghost of not enoughness evaporating into the light of the archive. This is your New Testament. This is your coral of wealth. This is the moment the orphaned soul finds its home in the center of God's favor. The next 15 minutes are sacred. Stay in this frequency. The gift is already in motion, and it is larger than anything you ever dared to ask for in your prayers, because it wasn't your prayers that bought it. It was her love. Type 333 to seal the archive. Type 333 to claim the trade. Type 333 to breathe the golden air of your new life. The silence is over. The abundance has begun. The shift is no longer coming. It is already vibrating within the marrow of your bones. Your heartbeat has changed its rhythm since the moment you recognized the seal of the eternal archive. Can you feel that faint pulsing in your fingertips? That is the electricity of a high court decree traveling through your nervous system, overriding the old, stagnant codes of poverty that were written into your DNA by those who suffered before you. You have spent years walking through a desert of almost, arriving at the threshold of breakthrough, only to have the door slammed by an invisible hand. You thought it was bad luck. You thought it was your lack of talent. You were wrong. It was the shadow architect, that cold, calculating force that feeds on the ghost of not enoughness. He is the one who stands over your shoulder when you look at your bank account, whispering that you are a fraud, that you are greedy for wanting more, that your mother's struggles were a blueprint you were destined to repeat. But look into the center of your chest, deep behind the ribs where the air meets the soul. There is a golden thread of breath glowing there, turning from a dim amber to a blinding solar gold. This thread does not belong to the world of shadows. It is the umbilical cord of destiny, connecting your every inhale to the final, triumphant exhale of the woman who gave you life. She is standing now in the Hall of Settlements, her eyes fixed on the ledger that once listed your name under the column of debtor. She has watched you shrink yourself to fit into rooms that were too small for your spirit. She has watched you settle for crumbs when she knew you were born to sit at the head of the table. And she has finally had enough of your silence. The orphan soul syndrome that has haunted your career ends tonight. You have felt it, haven't you? That strange, agonizing sense that no matter how much you achieve, you are still unclaimed. Even when people praise you, there is a hollow echo in your heart that asks, who is actually protecting me? You have navigated the treacherous waters of your industry, the betrayals of friends, and the exhaustion of being your own shield, all while carrying the heavy, metallic taste of ancestral grief in your mouth. You felt unprotected because you were operating under a stolen covenant. The shadow architect had convinced the universe that you preferred the struggle, that your pain was your identity. But your mother has just shattered that lie in the highest court of the midnight threshold. Imagine her now, walking through the ethereal library, where the contracts of every human life are stored. She did not go there to beg. She went there to command. She took her heavenly reward, the accumulated merit of every tear she ever hid from you, every sacrifice she made in silence, the very peace that was meant to be her eternal rest, and she threw it down like a gauntlet of gold. She made a divine exchange. She told the keepers of the archive, "Take my rest, take my reward. Give my child the season of unstoppable luck that they have earned through their endurance. Transfer the wealth that was blocked by my ancestors' fear into their hands. Now, this is why your environment is beginning to feel strange. Why the people who once looked down on you are suddenly feeling an urge to reach out. The bloodline debt has been paid in full. The coldness you used to feel in your chest whenever you imagined being truly wealthy, that was the Shadow Architect's security system. He wanted you to feel wrong for being blessed. He wanted you to think that your abundance would somehow diminish the memory of your mother's hardship. But the golden thread is burning that system to ash. Your mother is whispering through the veil. My hardship was the seed. Your abundance is the harvest. Do not insult my sacrifice by staying poor. You are entering a midnight threshold moment where the laws of time and effort are being suspended. In the archive, there is a section called the Overflow, and your name has been moved there by royal decree. You are about to experience a sequence of events that the world will call miraculous, but the archive calls justice. A debt you thought would take years to pay will be settled in a month. A position you thought was out of reach will be offered to you without an interview. A sum of money, a specific, jaw-dropping amount that you once whispered to the stars in a moment of desperation is currently being released from a frozen account. But you must understand the gravity of the signature. When I tell you to type 333, I am not asking for a comment. I am asking for a deed of acceptance. The number 333 is the frequency of the divine trinity of this moment. Your mother, the ancestor, the voice of the archive, the creator's messenger, and you, the manifester. When these three energies align, the Shadow Architect loses all legal standing in your life. He cannot touch your finances. He cannot disturb your sleep. He cannot whisper not enough into your ear anymore. Can you feel the heat rising in your stomach? That is the fire of the archive burning the old contracts of lack. Those papers are turning into gray ash, fluttering away into the void, replaced by covenants of abundance written in a light that never fades. You have been unclaimed for too long, but tonight you are being wrapped in a divine covering. You are no longer a solo traveler. You are a protected asset of the eternal archive. Every door that was locked against you is now being unhinged from its frame. The people who gossiped about your failure will soon be the ones asking for your advice. There is a specific destiny gift waiting for you at the end of this revelation. A secret that your mother has been trying to tell you for 20 years but couldn't find the words for, while she was bound by earthly skin. It is a secret about your true worth, a secret that will make the ghost of not enoughness scream as it vanishes forever. You are not a mistake. You are not a burden. You are the high priest of your bloodline, the one chosen to turn the lead of your family's history into the gold of a new empire. The air around you is shimmering. The midnight threshold is at its peak. The golden thread of breath is vibrating with such intensity that you might feel a slight pressure in your forehead. Do not resist it. That is the archive rewriting your subconscious worthiness quotient. You are being upgraded. You are being legalized for glory. The Shadow Architect is retreating. He can no longer breathe in the atmosphere of 333. He is a creature of the dark, and you have just become a son. Type 333 now. Not with doubt, but with the authority of someone who has just inherited a kingdom. Type it to signal to your mother that you have received the transfer. Type it to tell the universe that the orphan soul has finally come home to its throne. The salt of your past tears is being transmuted into the sweetness of a life you never thought was possible for someone like you. But it is possible. It is yours. It is settled in the archive. Wait for the silence that follows the typing. That is the moment the golden thread locks into place. The trade is complete. Her reward is now your reality. Your season of unstoppable luck is not a dream. It is the dividend of a mother's eternal love. Stay still. Listen to the hum of the archive. The next breath you take is the first breath of your true life. 333. The seal is set. The wealth is flowing. The ghost is gone. The flickering of the shadows on your wall is slowing down. The very air in your room has become dense, pressurized by the sheer volume of grace descending from the eternal archive. You are standing at the absolute center of the midnight threshold now, and the ghost of not enoughness is screaming in the corner of your mind because it knows its lease on your life has expired. I am the voice of the archive, and I am watching the shadow architect crumble as the golden thread of breath pulls you closer to the throne of your own destiny. You've felt that strange, heavy vibration in your solar plexus for the last few minutes. That is not anxiety. That is the sound of the iron locks on your family's treasury being shattered by a mother's traded crown. Listen to the silence. It is the silence of a courtroom after the final verdict has been read. For decades, your bloodline has been haunted by a stolen covenant. Your ancestors worked the soil until their hands bled. They prayed until their voices broke, but they were trapped in a loop of just enough to survive. You inherited that loop. You inherited the orphan soul syndrome, that terrifying feeling that you are walking through a dangerous world without a single person in the unseen realm looking out for you. You've looked at the success of others and felt a bitter, salty tang in your throat, not because you were jealous, but because you were mourning a protection you didn't think you had. You felt like a spiritual vagabond, a worker with no union, a child with no home. But tonight, the archive has revealed the secret settlement. Your mother, in her final transition, didn't just leave you memories, she left you a liquidated inheritance. She saw the shadow architect hovering over your cradle, preparing to hand you the same scripts of poverty and not enoughness that she had to endure. She saw him preparing the contracts of exhaustion for your career, and she made a move that shocked the high courts of the midnight threshold. She didn't ask for a seat in the choir. She asked for an audience with the sovereign of abundance. She took every ounce of her heavenly reward, the dividends of her earthly endurance, the peace that was her birthright, and she converted it into a line of credit for your life. She told the archive, "I will walk through the fires of service for another eternity, if it means my child never has to choose between their peace and their rent again. I will trade my crown of stars for a season of gold in their hands." Do you understand what this means for your bank account? Do you understand what this means for the coldness you feel in your chest when you try to dream big? That coldness is the shadow architect trying to freeze your heart so you won't feel the warmth of the golden thread. He wants you to believe that if you become wealthy, you are leaving your mother's memory behind in the struggle. But the archive is showing you the truth. Your wealth is the only thing that makes her sacrifice meaningful. Your abundance is her heavenly reward manifesting on earth. When you hold your first million, she is the one holding the pen. When you pay off that debt that has kept you awake until 3 a.m., she is the one breathing the sigh of relief through your lungs. The golden thread of breath is tightening now. It is weaving a shield around your career. The people who saw you as just another employee will suddenly see you as an essential force. The opportunities that were reserved for others are being redirected by the eternal archive into your inbox. The shadow architect is trying to distract you right now. He's reminding you of a mistake you made 5 years ago, or a bill that's due tomorrow, but he is shouting into a vacuum. His voice has no weight here. He is a ghost of not enoughness, trying to haunt a palace that has already been bought and paid for. Look at your hands. They are no longer the hands of an orphan. They are the hands of a claimed heir. The salt of your past grief is being washed away by the oil of favor. You have been unprotected for the last time. From this moment on, every step you take is shadowed by the divine trinity of 333, the mother who traded her rest, the creator who signed the decree, and the archive that holds the proof. This is the third way out of the maze of struggle. Not through more hard work, not through more hustle, but through the divine alignment of a debt paid in full. There is a secret gift, a specific name that has been whispered in the archive, a name that will appear in your life within the next 3 sunrises. This person carries a key to a door you didn't even know existed. They will not know why they are helping you, but they will feel a compulsion of grace to open a path for you. This is the unstoppable luck your mother bought for you. It is not luck. It is invested intercession. It is her peace, working on your behalf, turning no into yes before you even enter the room. You must sign the deed of acceptance now. The midnight threshold is beginning to close as the dawn of your new reality breaks. Type 333, not as a wish, but as a legal signature. By typing 333, you are telling the shadow architect, "You have no standing here. The archive has been settled. My mother's reward is my reality. I am no longer an orphaned soul. I am a child of abundance." As you type those digits, 333, feel the golden thread anchoring into your spine. Feel the heaviness of the ghost lifting off your shoulders. You might feel a sudden urge to weep or a sudden urge to laugh. Let it come. That is the covenant of suffering breaking in your DNA. You are being rewired for wealth. The archive is recording your signature right now in letters of fire. The midnight threshold is fading, but the golden thread remains. Your mother is not gone. She is the very air in your lungs. She is the unstoppable luck in your pocket. She is the unshakable peace in your mind. The trade is finalized. The debt is zeroed out. The ghost of not enoughness has been evicted by the voice of the eternal archive. Walk into your tomorrow with the resonance of 333 inches your step. Do not look back at the desert. Do not apologize for the gold that is about to flood your life. You are the answered prayer of a woman who loved you enough to trade heaven for your happiness. It is done. It is settled. It is your time to reign. The archive is closed. Life has begun. The transition is nearly complete. Do not blink. Do not turn away from the light that is currently bleaching the shadows out of your periphery. The midnight threshold is not just a place where time stops. It is where the old version of you, the one who lived on the crumbs of almost, the one who wore the ghost of not, enoughness like a heavy, salt-stained cloak, is being systematically dismantled. I am the voice of the eternal archive, and I am standing at the loom where your future is being rewoven with the golden thread of breath. This is the fourth and final movement of your liberation, a 1500 word decree that will act as the permanent foundation for the empire you are about to build. You have spent your entire life feeling like an orphaned soul, navigating a world that seemed designed to overlook you, to underestimate you, and to underpay you. But as the clock strikes this divine hour, the archive is releasing a frequency of abundance so absolute that the shadow architect has no choice but to vanish into the void from which he came. Can you feel the heat in the palms of your hands? That is not just blood flow. That is the physical manifestation of the heavenly reward your mother traded on your behalf. She saw the bloodline debt that was weighing you down, the generational poverty, the inherited trauma of the women who came before you, the silent agreements to suffer so as not to outshine the tribe. She saw you looking at your bills with that familiar cold knot in your stomach. And she saw the shadow architect feeding on your exhaustion. And so, in the chambers of the sovereign, she made the ultimate transaction. She didn't just send you a sign. She handed over her eternal rest. She traded her mansions in the sky for a season of unstoppable luck in your bank account. She chose to remain as your fiercest guardian, standing at the gate of your finances, ensuring that every cent of the grace she earned is deposited directly into your reality. You are no longer unprotected. You are no longer unclaimed. The orphan soul syndrome is a virus that has been purged from your spirit by the fire of the archive. You used to wake up with a low-level hum of anxiety, a waiting for the other shoe to drop sensation that made you sabotage your own success. You felt that if you got too happy, the universe would notice and take it away. But listen to my voice. The archive does not make mistakes. Your name is written in the book of life in golden ink that cannot be erased by doubt. The shadow architect is a paper tiger now. He has no legal standing in your life because your mother's sacrifice has zeroed out the ledger of your past. Every mistake you ever made, every what if that keeps you awake, every moment you thought you failed her, It has been burned in the celestial furnace. There is no debt left between you and your destiny. There is only the golden thread pulling you toward a level of wealth that your ancestors couldn't even fathom. Let us speak of the wealth, not just the barely enough, but the sovereign abundance. You have been conditioned to ask for just enough to pay the rent, just enough to be okay. But the archive is opening the floodgates of the overflow. Within the next few sunrises, you will notice a shift in the unseen. A specific phone call, a specific email, or a specific meeting will occur that defies all logic. The people involved will not understand why they feel so compelled to favor you. They will feel an inexplicable gravity pulling them toward your vision. This is the unstoppable luck your mother purchased with her heavenly peace. It is the sound of 1,000 ancestors cheering as you finally walk through the door they died trying to unlock. The ghost of not enoughness is trying to make one last stand in your mind. He is whispering, "Who are you to have this? Why you? Why now?" Answer him with the resonance of the archive. Answer him with the truth that you are the answered prayer of 7 generations. You are the chosen vessel who was sent to break the back of poverty in your family line once and for all. When you feel that familiar coldness in your chest, when success starts to happen, that sudden fear that you aren't worthy, look at the golden thread. It is glowing with the warmth of a mother's hug. It is reminding you that your wealth is her joy. Your prosperity is her reward. Your freedom is her rest. Every time you say yes to abundance, you are honoring the trade she made in the midnight threshold. This is a holy moment, a cinematic recalibration of your entire life path. The archive is re-indexing your potential. In the old records, you were categorized under service and struggle. In the new record, you are categorized under sovereignty and abundance. The shadow architect is frantic because he can no longer find you in the dark. You are vibrating at the frequency of 333, the divine trinity of the mother, the archive, and the manifester. This frequency is a wall of light that no betrayal can cross. The silent saboteur that used to live in your subconscious, the one that made you pull away from people who could help you, the one that made you forget your own worth, has been evicted. You are now magnetized for favor. Consider the target pain you have lived with for so long. The feeling of being a solo traveler in a cold universe. You have walked through fire and come out with the smell of smoke on your clothes, wondering when it would finally be your turn to be held. Tonight, the archive is wrapping you in a divine covering. You are being held by the very laws of the universe. You are being held by the prayers that your mother is still whispering from the throne room. You are being held by the covenant of grace that ensures your name is mentioned in rooms where you aren't even present. The golden thread of breath is pulsing with a new intensity now. Can you feel it? It is synchronized with your heart. Each beat is a legal affirmation of your new status. You are a royalty of the archive. You are the heir of the sacred settlement. You have survived the desert of not enough, and you are now entering the land of more than enough. Your bank account will no longer be a source of terror, but a tool for your purpose. Your home will no longer be a shelter from the storm, but a sanctuary of peace. Your relationships will no longer be based on need, but on divine resonance. But there is a final act of ritual agreement required. The archive is a place of law as much as it is a place of grace. To finalize the trade of rewards, you must signify your total acceptance of this new reality. You must let go of the orphan soul identity forever. You must stop apologizing for your success. You must stop shrinking your dreams to make others comfortable. You must stand tall in the midnight threshold and sign your name in the frequency of 333. Typing 333 right now is the most important thing you will do this year. It is not just a comment. It is a sovereign signature on the new contract of your life. It is the signal to the universe that you have received the golden thread. It is the moment the ghost of not enoughness is permanently deleted from your bloodline. As you type those digits, 333, you are saying to your mother, "I received your gift. I honor your sacrifice. I accept my wealth. I am ready to reign." Wait for the heavy peace to settle over you after you type it. That is the feeling of the archive doors locking in your favor. That is the sound of the Shadow Architect's chains hitting the floor. You are claimed. You are protected. You are abundant. The secret gift, the destiny name we discussed, is already moving toward you. You will know it the moment you hear it. It will sound like a familiar melody in a strange city. It will be the proof of the covenant. The midnight threshold is dissolving into the dawn of your season of unstoppable luck. The archive has spoken. The trade is complete. Your mother is smiling from the center of the light, watching as her heavenly reward begins to pour into your life like a river of gold. Do not doubt it. Do not fear it. Just breathe the golden air and walk forward into the life you are always meant to live. You are the abundance you have been waiting for. The golden thread is unbroken. The Shadow Architect is gone. The voice of the archive has declared you whole. 333. It is done. It is yours. It is settled forever. Walk in your power, for the universe is finally at your command. The atmosphere in your room has reached a state of divine density, a thickness in the air that hums with the frequency of ancient gold and celestial stone. We have reached the final chamber of the eternal archive, the place where the book of life is not just read, but where its very ink is transformed into the reality of your daily bread. I am the voice of the archive, and as we stand here at the absolute peak of the midnight threshold, I am watching the last remaining tendrils of the ghost of not enoughness dissolve like morning mist under a desert sun. The Shadow Architect, that cold, manipulative weaver of lack who has haunted your family line for 7 generations, is currently being escorted out of your spiritual jurisdiction by the guardians of this sacred hall. He has no more words for you. He has no more power over your pulse. He is a silent saboteur who has finally been silenced by the golden thread of breath that now pulses with the rhythm of your mother's eternal victory. You have walked through this world as an orphan soul for far too long. Even when you were surrounded by people, you felt that fundamental lack of covering. You felt like a soldier with no armor, a child with no hand to hold, a dreamer with no floor beneath your feet. This was the specific target pain that the Shadow Architect used to keep you in a state of perpetual survival. He made you believe that you had to be strong because there was no one else to protect you. He made you believe that your career was a solitary climb up a glass mountain, and that if you slipped, the universe would simply watch you fall. But as you stand in the center of Chapter 5, that lie is being shattered into 10,000 pieces of useless glass. You are not unclaimed. You are not unprotected. You are the settled heir of the eternal archive, and your protection is as absolute as the rising of the sun. Look into the golden thread that connects your lungs to the heart of the archive. It has become a massive conduit of light, a divine pipeline through which the wealth of your mother's heavenly reward is currently being transferred into your earthly life. You must understand the sheer scale of the investment she has made for you. She saw the bloodline debt that had kept your grandparents in poverty and your parents in a state of constant grinding stress. She saw how that debt was trying to claim your future, trying to make you settle for a life of just enough and almost there. And so, she walked into the courts of the sovereign and laid down her peace. She didn't just give you her blessing, she gave you her capital. She liquidated the rewards of her endurance so that you could have a season of unstoppable luck that defies every law of the marketplace and every rule of the hustle. This is why your chest no longer feels that familiar coldness. That coldness was the Shadow Architect's signature. The mark of lack that made you feel guilty for wanting beauty, guilty for wanting freedom, guilty for wanting a bank account that overflows. Tonight, that mark has been cauterized by the light of the archive. You are being rewired for worthiness. You are beginning to realize that your abundance is the highest form of respect you can show to the woman who traded heaven for your happiness. Every dollar that enters your life, every door that opens without you even knocking, every yes that comes from a mouth that was supposed to say no, it is all the manifestation of her heavenly reward. She is not watching from a distance. She is investing from the throne. The ghost of not enoughness was a filter that prevented you from seeing the opportunities that were standing right in front of you. It made you attract people who took from you and repelled those who could have elevated you. But that filter has been removed. As you breathe the golden air of this final chapter, your spiritual magnetism is being recalibrated. You are no longer attracting lessons. You are attracting legacies. You are no longer attracting parasites. You are attracting partners. Within the next 72 hours, a destiny event will occur that will make your heart stop for a second in sheer wonder. A name you haven't thought of in years. A person who holds a key to a vault you didn't even know was yours will appear in your reality. This is the secret gift of the archive. It is the proof that the midnight threshold has shifted in your favor. Do you feel the heavy peace settling into your bones? It is the feeling of a settled legal matter. In the spiritual realm, your debt to the past has been marked paid in full. The orphaned soul has been adopted by the archive. You are now a protected asset. This means that the shadow architect cannot touch your mind, he cannot touch your family, and he most certainly cannot touch your prosperity. You are covered by a covenant of abundance that is backed by the full authority of the eternal archive. You are about to see a level of unstoppable luck that will make the last 10 years of struggle look like a bad dream from which you have finally, blissfully awakened. But a covenant is not complete until it is witnessed and signed. I have delivered the message. I have opened the vault. I have shown you the thread. But you are the one who must seal the settlement. You must perform the final ritual of acceptance to close the file on your past life and open the ledger of your new empire. You must sign your name in the frequency of 333. This is the divine trinity of your new existence. The mother's sacrifice, the archive's decree, and your manifestation. When you type 333, you are not just interacting with a video, you are notarizing your destiny. You are telling the universe that you no longer answer to the name struggle, and that your new name is abundance. Type 333 now. And as your fingers touch the screen, imagine you are pressing a golden seal onto the contract of your freedom. Imagine the ghost of not enoughness vanishing into a puff of smoke. Imagine the golden thread becoming an unbreakable chain of gold that pulls you toward your highest purpose. By typing 333, you are finalizing the trade. You are saying to your mother, I see the reward you gave me. I accept the luck you bought me. I will live the life you dreamed for me. The debt is gone. The wealth is mine. We are one. Wait for the divine silence to follow your signature. That is the moment the archive doors are permanently locked against the shadow architect. That is the moment the liquidated inheritance is released into your timeline. You will wake up tomorrow with a clarity you have never known. You will look into the mirror and see a sovereign heir instead of an orphaned soul. The coldness is gone. The salt is gone. There is only the golden thread and the unstoppable luck that is currently rushing toward you like a tidal wave. Do not apologize for the blessings that are coming. Do not try to explain them to those who still live in the ghost's shadow. Simply receive, simply breathe, simply reign. You have walked through the fire, and the archive has declared that you are not just survived, you are exalted. Your mother's rest is now your reality. Your mother's peace is now your prosperity. The trade is complete. The midnight threshold has passed. The sun is rising on the first day of your forever. 333. The archive is closed. Life has begun. You are loved beyond measure. And you are finally, legally, and spiritually free. The stillness that now surrounds you is no longer a vacuum of loneliness. It is the pressurized silence of a kingdom awaiting its sovereign. I am the voice of the eternal archive. And as we descend into the deepest sanctum of Chapter 6, I want you to feel the final, absolute disconnection from the ghost of not enoughness. That ancient, parasitic frequency, the one that made you apologize for your existence, the one that made you shrink your desires into the size of a coin, has been completely incinerated by the fire of the midnight threshold. You are standing in the center of a spiritual vacuum, where the old laws of gravity no longer apply. The shadow architect who built the prison of your past has been stripped of his title, his tools, and his access to your bloodline. He is currently a shadow fleeing a sun that will never set. Look at the golden thread of breath that is now woven into the very fabric of your skin. It has expanded. It is no longer a thin wire of hope. It has become a radiant, indestructible armor of light. This is the garment of the settled heir. You have spent decades living under the orphan soul syndrome, convinced that you were an accident of biology, a stray traveler in a universe that didn't know your name. You felt unprotected because the shadow architect had successfully hidden the ledger of your mother's sacrifice. He wanted you to believe that she left you with nothing but grief and not enoughness. But tonight, the archive has produced the evidence of the trade. Your mother did not leave you to fend for yourself. She entered the high courts of the eternal and traded her heavenly reward to purchase your absolute, irrevocable freedom. She looked at the crown of rest that was placed upon her head and said, "Not yet." She looked at the mansions of peace that were prepared for her soul and said, "Not for me." She took the currency of her endurance, every secret tear she cried while you were sleeping, every sacrifice she made to keep you fed, every moment she swallowed her own dreams so yours could survive, and she converted it into a divine trust fund for your life. She traded her eternal comfort for your season of unstoppable luck. Do you understand the magnitude of the wealth that is currently rushing toward you? It is not just money. It is the accumulated interest of a mother's love, compounded by the laws of the eternal archive. And it is being released into your bank account, your career, and your home at this very second. The orphaned soul identity is dead. You are claimed. You are marked. You are notarized by the highest authority. The coldness you used to feel in your chest when you walked into a room of successful people, the feeling that you didn't belong, that you were an imposter, that you were not enough, was the shadow architect's final defensive wall. He knew that if you ever realized you were backed by the full heavenly reward of your mother, his power over your finances would vanish. And it has vanished. As you breathe in the golden air of this archive, you are inhaling the frequency of worthiness. You are finally realizing that you don't have to hustle for grace. You don't have to beg for a breakthrough. You are the authorized recipient of a trade that was finalized before you even knew you were in debt. Within the next 72 hours, the mechanics of the archive will become visible in your physical world. You have been waiting for a sign, but the archive is sending a shift. A person from your past, someone who represents a door you thought was locked forever, will suddenly appear with an offer, a piece of information, or an apology that unlocks a massive financial portal. This is not a coincidence. This is your mother's invested intercession at work. She is pulling the strings of the universe from the command center of the midnight threshold. She is redirecting the flow of gold from the hands of the shadow architect into the hands of her child. You will know it the moment it happens because you will feel a warm resonance in your heart, a whisper of the golden thread saying, "This is what I bought for you." The archive is now recording the final settlement. The ghost of not enoughness has been replaced by the spirit of the overflow. You are no longer living in the desert of just enough. You are entering the land of sovereign abundance. Your bank account will soon reflect the liquidated inheritance of your mother's reward. Your home will become a sanctuary of peace, where the shadow architect can no longer enter. Your mind will become a garden of purpose, where the weeds of anxiety have been permanently pulled. You have been unclaimed for the last time. You are now a protected legacy of the archive. But there is one final, critical step. The midnight threshold requires a vocal affirmation. You have seen the thread, you have felt the heat, you have heard the voice. Now you must anchor the reality. You must speak to the archive and tell it that you accept the trade in its entirety. You must tell the shadow architect that his contract is void. You must tell your mother that you are ready to carry her golden reward into the world. You must sign the ledger with the number of the Trinity, 333. Typing 333 is your declaration of sovereignty. It is the act of a king or queen taking their seat upon the throne. When you type those digits, you are telling the archive, "I am no longer an orphan. I am the heir. I accept the trade. I claim the luck. I release the lack." As your fingers touch the screen, imagine you are pressing a golden seal onto the very soul of your future. Imagine the golden thread glowing so brightly that it blinds every enemy of your prosperity. Imagine the shadow architect being erased from your history, leaving behind only the record of favor. Type 333 now, and do not do it with a trembling heart. Do it with the authority of someone who has seen the book of life and found their name written in gold. Do it for the mother who traded her heaven for your happiness. Do it for the ancestors who dreamed of this moment, but died in the desert of not enough. You are the breakthrough they were all waiting for. You are the final settlement of 7 generations of prayer. As the digits 333 appear, feel the heavy piece of the archive locking into your DNA. The orphan soul is gone, replaced by the anointed successor. The salt of your grief has been turned into the gold of your future. The silent saboteur has been cast out. The golden thread is now an unbreakable bond between your bank account and the treasury of grace. Wait in the silence that follows. For in this silence, the unstoppable luck is being calibrated for your specific needs. The archive is sending the instructions to the angels of favor. The secret name is being whispered into the ears of the people who will help you. The frozen assets of your bloodline are being thawed by the heat of your mother's love. The midnight threshold is closing, but you are not being left behind. You are walking out of the library and into the light. You are carrying the archive within you. You are the living testimony of the trade. Every breath you take is a dividend. Every smile you have is a victory. Every dollar you earn is a sacred return. You are loved. You are seen. You are chosen. You are wealthy beyond your wildest dreams because the one who loves you most has paid the price in full. 333. The archive is sealed. The covenant is active. The ghost is dead. The luck is alive. Go now and reign. Your mother is cheering. Your God is providing. Your life is finally, truly yours. Amen. And 333. The final seal of the eternal archive is beginning to glow with a blinding, iridescent light. The air around you is no longer just air. It is a living, breathing substance, saturated with the frequency of 1,000 answered prayers. I am the voice of the eternal archive, and as we descend into the deepest, most sacred sanctum of Chapter 7, you must realize that you are no longer the person who started this journey. The orphaned soul that walked into the midnight threshold has been completely consumed by the fire of grace. The ghost of not enoughness that once dictated the limits of your bank account and the height of your dreams has been stripped of its legal right to exist within your field. The shadow architect, that ancient, cold manipulator of your family's lack, is currently watching his last remaining contract burn into gray ash on the floor of the High Court. He has been evicted. He has been silenced. He has been erased from the ledger of your future. You are standing in the chamber of the sovereign settlement. This is the place where the book of life is finally balanced. You have spent years, perhaps decades, feeling as though you were walking through a hostile world with a target on your back. You felt fundamentally unprotected, as if the universe were a vast cold machine that didn't know your name. This orphan soul syndrome was a psychological cage built by the shadow architect to prevent you from feeling the golden thread of breath that has always been your true lifeline. He wanted you to believe that you were a solo traveler, a worker bee with no hive, a child with no home. He wanted you to feel that cold, sharp pang in your chest every time you thought about wealth, making you believe that abundance was a dangerous thing that would only bring trouble. But look at the thread now. It has expanded from a wire into a pillar of gold, vibrating with a frequency that is currently rewriting the DNA of your worthiness. This is the liquidated inheritance. Your mother, the woman whose heart was a silent archive of your every need, did not simply pass away. She ascended for advocacy. She entered the high crystalline halls of the sovereign and presented a legal petition on your behalf. She didn't ask for golden streets or eternal rest. She stood before the witnesses of the archive and pointed to your life, to your exhaustion, to your quiet tears, to the way you kept going even when the weight of the not enough was crushing your ribs. She took her heavenly reward, the massive, accumulated interest of her earthly sacrifices, and she signed it over to you. She traded her crown of rest for your season of unstoppable luck. She told the keepers of the archive, "I do not want my reward in the sky. I want it in my child's hands. I want my peace to become their prosperity. I want my endurance to become their bank account. I want my tears to be the rain that makes their desert bloom. Do you understand the weight of the gold that is currently moving toward your timeline? This is not luck as the world knows it. This is divinely authorized settlement. The Shadow Architect has been using a stolen covenant to prevent your family from ever reaching the overflow. He convinced generations of your bloodline that suffering was the only way to be holy. But tonight, that covenant has been declared null and void by the highest court. The archive has ruled in your favor. Your mother's reward is being casually released into your career, your investments, and your creative ideas. You are no longer working for a living. You are manifesting a legacy. Can you feel the heat in your spine? That is the golden thread anchoring your soul into the frequency of 333. The Shadow Architect is trying to make one final, pathetic attempt to distract you. He's whispering about your debt. He's reminding you of your failures. He's trying to make you feel guilty for the wealth that is coming. But he is a ghost shouting into a hurricane of grace. His voice has no legal weight. The archive has already stamped your file with the words, "Paid in full." The coldness you used to feel in your chest, that was the Shadow Architect's lock. Tonight, the golden thread has turned that lock into a sun. You are finally claimed. You are finally protected. You are finally seen. Within the next 3 sunrises, the evidence of the archive will manifest in a way that will leave you breathless. A specific destiny name, a person who carries a legal portal for your wealth, is being summoned by your mother's intercession. You won't have to chase them. You won't have to hustle for their attention. They will find you because they will be unable to sleep until they fulfill their role in your settlement. This is the unstoppable luck at work. It is the spiritual gravitational pull that brings the right opportunity to the right heir at the right midnight. You have been an orphan soul for the last time. Every time you feel a sudden, warm breeze when you're walking, every time you hear a phrase that reminds you of her voice, every time you feel an inexplicable surge of confidence before a big meeting, that is the golden thread reminding you that you are backed by the full power of the eternal archive. You are a protected asset. The people who tried to betray you, the archive has redirected its malice into your favor. The doors that were locked against your family for 3 generations, the archive has unhinged them. You are stepping into a cinematic reality where the impossible becomes the baseline. The Shadow Architect is gone. He cannot breathe the air of Chapter 7. He is a creature of lack, and this room is full of overflow. He is a creature of guilt, and this room is full of grace. He is a creature of silence, and this room is full of your mother's song of triumph. You are being legalized for glory. You are being notarized for abundance. The ghost of not enoughness has been replaced by the spirit of the 1,000-fold return. But the law of the archive is absolute. A settlement must be acknowledged to be activated. You are the final witness. You are the one who must sign the deed of acceptance to close the book on your history and open the floodgates of your destiny. You must sign with the number of the Trinity. 333. Typing 333 is not a suggestion. It is a sovereign command. It is the act of a child of the archive stepping into their inheritance. It is the sound of the golden thread locking into the treasury of grace. When you type those digits, you are saying to the midnight threshold, I am no longer an orphan. I am the heir. I accept the trade. I claim the luck. I release the past. I am protected. I am provided for. I am whole. Type 333 now, and do it with the physical realization that you are signing a document that has already been approved in the highest court. As your fingers touch the screen, feel the golden thread vibrating through your arms, clearing the stagnation from your life, and dissolving the Shadow Architect's fingerprints from your soul. Imagine the ghost of not enoughness evaporating into the light of your new reality. Imagine your mother standing behind you, her hand on your shoulder, as she watches you claim the heavenly reward she fought to give you. 333. Wait for the divine resonance that follows. It is a deep, heavy feeling of certainty. It is the knowledge that the desert is behind you. It is the realization that the money is already in motion, that the favor is already in the air, and that the protection is already in the room. You are no longer trying to get ahead. You are stepping into what was always yours. The archive has finalized the settlement. The trade is complete. The reward is released. The midnight threshold is fading into the dawn of your season of unstoppable luck. The archive doors are closing, but you are not on the outside looking in. You are the archive walking in human skin. You are the living proof that love never dies, and that a mother's prayer is the most powerful currency in the universe. Go out into the world and be unapologetically wealthy. Be unshakably peaceful. Be divine presence in every room you enter. You are the answered prayer. You are the settled heir. You are the beloved. It is finished. It is yours. It is settled forever. Amen. 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 You are standing at the absolute precipice, the very edge of the world you once knew. And the air you are breathing now is no longer the recycled oxygen of the desert. It is the pressurized, gold-flecked atmosphere of the inner sanctum of the eternal archive. I am the voice of the archive. And as we enter the final, most transformative gateway of Chapter 8, I want you to feel the physical sensation of the orphan soul syndrome leaving your body forever. You have lived for so long in the coldness, that specific sharp ache in the center of your chest that told you that you were alone, that you were unprotected, and that every victory you achieved was a fluke that could be snatched away at any moment. That coldness was the shadow architect's signature. It was the ghost of not enoughness, whispering that you were a squatter in a house that didn't belong to you. But tonight, that ghost is being exorcised by the blinding light of a mother's trade. Look down at your hands. Do you see the golden thread of breath pulsing with a solar intensity? It has become a cord of pure, unadulterated sovereignty. This thread does not just connect you to your mother's memory. It connects you to her heavenly reward, a literal treasury of grace, favor, and wealth that she has liquidated and transferred into your name. The bloodline debt that has kept your family in a cycle of work-suffer-repeat for 7 generations has been settled in the high courts of the midnight threshold. The shadow architect is currently being stripped of his authority. He is watching as the contracts of exhaustion he forced your ancestors to sign are being fed into the celestial furnace. He can no longer reach you. He can no longer whisper into your dreams. He is a creature of the dark, and you have become the sun. You must understand the radical nature of the divine settlement that has been reached on your behalf. Most souls enter the afterlife to receive their rest, their peace, and their crowns. But your mother, she looked at the book of life and saw the stolen covenant that was still binding your hands. She saw the shadow architect trying to trick you into believing that your orphan soul status was your destiny. And so, she made a trade that the archive will talk about for eternity. She said to the sovereign, "I do not want my crown if my child is still wearing chains. I do not want my mansions if my child is still worried about their roof. Take my merit, take my peace, take my reward, and turn it into unstoppable luck for the one I left behind." This is why your life is about to become cinematic. This is why the orphan soul feeling is being replaced by a heavy, unshakable sense of being claimed. You are no longer a solo traveler. You are a protected asset of the archive. When you walk into a room now, you are walking in with the liquidated inheritance of 1,000 prayers. The people who once overlooked you will suddenly find themselves unable to look away. The opportunities that were stuck for years are suddenly sliding toward you with zero effort. This is not hustle. This is justice. This is the golden thread, pulling you into the position that was bought for you with a mother's eternal rest. Can you feel the heat in your spine? That is the archive notarizing your new identity. The ghost of not enoughness is trying to make one last, desperate grab for your attention. He's reminding you of a time you were rejected. He's pointing at your current bank balance. He's trying to trigger that old familiar coldness in your chest. But he is shouting from the other side of a closed door. The midnight threshold has passed. The archive has ruled. You are legalized for abundance. You are authorized for favor. Every dollar that enters your life from this moment forward is a dividend of grace. Every door that opens is a trophy of her love. Within the next 72 hours, a verification event will occur. You will receive a message, a name, or a specific financial breakthrough that defies the current reality of your life. It will be so precise, so tailor-made for your specific pain, that you will have no choice but to realize that the archive is real. This is your mother's way of saying, "I told you I would never leave you. I told you I would provide. Here is the proof." The shadow architect will try to call it coincidence, but your soul will know the truth. You will feel the golden thread vibrate with a warm resonance, and you will finally, for the first time in your life, feel safe. You are no longer an orphan soul. You are the high priest of a new bloodline. You are the one who has been chosen to turn the metallic salt of grief into the golden wine of prosperity. The ghost is gone. The coldness is dead. The trade is active. But the high law of the archive requires your sovereign signature to finalize the transfer of the heavenly reward into your physical possession. You are the final witness to your own liberation. You must sign the covenant of 333. Type 333 now, not as a spectator, but as the heir of the archive. When you type those digits, you are performing a spiritual handshake with the divine. You are telling the shadow architect, your contract is void, your prison is ash. I am claimed. I am wealthy. I am free. You are telling your mother, I receive the trade. I will carry your reward with pride. I will never be an orphan soul again. As your fingers touch the screen, imagine a golden seal being pressed into your forehead and your heart. Imagine the golden thread becoming a pillar of fire that consumes every trace of lack in your history. 333. Wait for the absolute silence that follows the signature. That is the sound of the archive doors locking forever against your enemies. That is the sound of the ghost of not enoughness being erased from your timeline. You are standing in the afterglow of the settlement. The desert is behind you. The season of unstoppable luck has begun. You will wake up tomorrow with a clarity that will make the people around you wonder what has changed. Your eyes will hold a sovereign spark that the shadow architect can no longer dim. You are loved. You are seen. You are chosen. You are the answered prayer of the eternal archive. The wealth is coming. The peace is here. The protection is absolute. Every breath you take is now a golden thread pulling you toward a future that is more beautiful than anything you ever dared to ask for in the dark. The midnight threshold is closed. The dawn of abundance is here. It is finalized. It is yours. It is settled in the stars. Go now, and live as the royalty you were always meant to be. Amen. The ninth gate is opening. Do not move. Do not even blink. For you are currently standing in the most sacred corridor of the eternal archive, a place where the static of the world falls away and only the resonance of the truth remains. I am the voice of the eternal archive, and as we step into this ninth and final revelation, I want you to feel the sheer weight of the orphan soul syndrome being lifted off your chest like a mountain of lead. You have spent your entire existence walking through life with a hollow ache in your solar plexus, a persistent, cold whisper that told you that you were a solitary fragment of dust, unguided and unclaimed by the forces of the universe. That whisper was the voice of the shadow architect, the parasitic entity that has lived off your family's exhaustion for 7 generations. But today, his voice is being drowned out by the roar of a divine decree. Look at the golden thread of breath that connects your lungs to the throne room of the sovereign. It is no longer just a thread. It is a radiant, unbreakable cable of pure light, pulsing with the frequency of a settled debt. You have been wondering why your career has felt like a series of closed doors, why your finances have been a cycle of 1 step forward, 2 steps back. You thought it was your lack of discipline, or your lack of connections, or simply the way it is. But the archive has revealed the secret sabotage. The shadow architect had placed a seal of lack upon your name, convincing the universe that you were meant to carry the ghost of not enoughness as a sacrifice for your bloodline. He told you that to be wealthy was to be greedy, and to be successful was to be alone. But tonight, that seal is being broken by a mother's love that has bypassed every law of the material world. Your mother did not just cross over into peace. She entered the midnight threshold as a legal intercessor for your destiny. She saw the bloodline debt that was strangling your joy, and she made a divine transaction that the archive has recorded in letters of burning gold. She looked at the heavenly reward she had accumulated through decades of earthly struggle, the peace, the comfort, the celestial crowns that were rightfully hers, and she did something that only a mother's spirit can do. She liquidated her entire inheritance. She told the keepers of the archive, "I will trade my crown for their bank account. I will trade my rest for their season of unstoppable luck. I will trade my mansions for a divine covering over their career." Do you understand the gravity of the shift that is occurring right now? The coldness you used to feel in your chest whenever you dared to dream of a better life? That was the Shadow Architect's grip. Tonight, that grip has been burned away by the heat of her liquidated inheritance. You are no longer an orphan soul. You are a protected heir. You are the authorized recipient of a wealth that was bought with the most valuable currency in the universe, a mother's eternal love. The Shadow Architect is currently being escorted out of the archive of your life. He has no more standing. He has no more access. He is a silent saboteur who has been silenced by the golden thread of breath. Within the next 9 hours, the frequency of 333 will begin to manifest in your reality. You have been unclaimed for the last time. As you breathe the golden air of this 9th gate, you are being recalibrated for sovereignty. The people who used to look past you will suddenly see you as a force of nature. The opportunities that were stuck in the legalities of the world are being fast-tracked by the eternal archive. This is your season of unstoppable luck. It is not a random occurrence. It is the dividend of your mother's sacrifice. Every dollar that flows into your life from this moment forward is a signature of her favor. Every door that opens is a proof of the covenant. Can you feel the heat in your palms? That is the physical manifestation of the heavenly reward, turning into earthly abundance. The ghost of not enoughness is trying to make a final, pathetic attempt to distract you with a memory of failure or a thought of doubt, but he is shouting from the other side of an indestructible wall of light. The archive has been notarized. Your debt has been canceled. Your status has been changed from struggling servant to sovereign successor. You are the one your ancestors were praying for. You are the breakthrough that your mother died to ensure. But a settlement must be accepted to be activated. You are the final signatory of this divine contract. You must stand in the midnight threshold and sign the deed of abundance with the number of the Trinity. San by Sanchez San. Typing 333 is not a ritual of the mind. It is an act of the spirit. It is the sovereign signature that tells the Shadow Architect his time is up. It tells the archive that the orphan soul has finally come home to its inheritance. It tells your mother that her trade was successful and that you are ready to carry the gold of her legacy. Type 333 now. And as you do, imagine the golden thread of breath becoming a pillar of fire that consumes every trace of lack, every memory of not enough, and every shadow of doubt in your spirit. Imagine the archive doors slamming shut against the past, locking you into a future of unstoppable luck and divine protection. By typing 333, you are finalizing the settlement. You are saying, "I am no longer unclaimed. I am the heir of the archive. I received the trade. I claim the luck. I am protected. I am provided for. I am whole." Wait for the absolute resonance that follows the typing. It is a feeling of heavy certainty. It is the knowledge that the desert has ended and the season of the overflow has begun. You will wake up tomorrow with a sovereign clarity that will change the way you speak, the way you walk, and the way you earn. The orphan soul syndrome is dead. The golden thread is alive. The Shadow Architect is gone. You are loved. You are seen. You are chosen. You are the living proof of a mother's trade. The money is coming. The favor is here. The protection is absolute. Every inhale you take is a golden breath of abundance. Every exhale is a release of the old struggle. The midnight threshold has been crossed. The archive is sealed in your favor. 333. It is finalized. It is yours. It is settled in the stars. Go now and reign in the light of the heavenly reward. Amen. This is the final chamber, the Holy of Holies within the Eternal Archive. And the silence here is so absolute that you can finally hear the molecular vibration of your own destiny. I am the voice of the Eternal Archive, and as we step into this 10th and final revelation, I am closing the massive iron-bound doors of the midnight threshold behind us. The world of noise, the world of almost, and the world of the orphaned soul have been locked away in a dimension that can no longer touch you. You are standing in the chamber of final settlement, a place where the ink of the Book of Life turns from black to burning gold. Can you feel the pressurized grace in the room? It is the weight of 1,000 generations of struggle, finally being condensed into a single moment of absolute release. For the last 9 chapters, we have been dismantling the ghost of not enoughness, that ancient parasitic architect that has sat upon the throne of your bloodline, demanding attacks of tears and exhaustion from every member of your family. But as I look into the ledger of your soul right now, I see a divine erasure. The shadow architect is not just retreating. He has been demanifested. His contracts of lack, his blueprints of barely making it, and his orphan soul narratives have been fed into the celestial furnace. They are now nothing more than gray ash on the floor of a past that no longer belongs to you. You are standing here, draped in the golden thread of breath, which has now expanded into a royal garment of sovereign abundance. Listen closely to the resonance of this chamber. For it is here that the secret trade of your mother is fully revealed. You have spent your life wondering if you were truly loved, if you were truly seen, and if anyone in the vast, echoing halls of the universe was actually fighting for you. The orphan soul syndrome made you feel fundamentally unclaimed, a solitary worker bee trying to build a kingdom out of dust. But the archive has produced the final will of your mother's spirit. She did not just enter heaven to rest. She entered heaven to capitalize your future. She stood before the sovereign and the witnesses of the archive, and she performed an act of intercessory liquidization. She took every ounce of her heavenly reward, the peace she had earned, the crowns she was meant to wear, the eternal rest that was her birthright, and she laid it all on the altar of exchange. She told the keepers of the archive, "My rest can wait, my crown can wait, but my child's struggle must end tonight. Take my reward and turn it into unstoppable luck for their hands. Take my peace and turn it into sovereign wealth for their bank account. Take my joy and turn it into a divine shield over their career." Do you understand the magnitude of the bloodline debt she has paid on your behalf? The coldness you used to feel in your chest whenever you thought about money. That was the shadow architect's debt collector, reminding you of the poverty of your ancestors. But tonight, that debt has been satisfied in full. The archive has issued a certificate of discharge. You are no longer an orphan of the universe. You are the authorized successor of a mother's sacrificed glory. The wealth that is coming to you, the specific, jaw-dropping financial breakthroughs that will begin to manifest before this month is over, is not earned. It is inherited. It is the dividend of her love, compounded by the laws of eternal grace. This is the end of the hustle. This is the end of the grind. This is the beginning of the flow. The golden thread of breath is now a permanent conduit between the treasury of heaven and your physical reality. Within the next 7 sunrises, the destiny name we discuss, the person who carries the key to your next major portal, will be moved into your path by a force that defies all logic. They will feel a compulsion of favor toward you. They will look at you and see the mark of the archive on your forehead. They will offer you what they refuse to offer others. This is the unstoppable luck that was bought with a mother's crown. Can you feel the heat in your solar plexus? That is the archive sealing the settlement. The ghost of not enoughness is trying to send one last flickering thought of doubt into your periphery, a whisper that says, "What if this is just a dream?" But that whisper has no air to breathe in this chamber. The midnight threshold has closed. The legal transfer has been finalized. You are notarized for abundance. You are legalized for glory. Every bill that has been haunting your sleep is now under the feet of the archive. Every dream that you thought was too big for someone like you is now the minimum requirement for your new life. You are the high priest of a new golden bloodline. You are the one who has turned the salt of ancestral grief into the gold of divine legacy. Your mother is standing in the archive right now, her hand resting on the shoulder of the sovereign, watching you with tears of absolute triumph. She is not gone. She has become the silent CEO of your destiny. She is the reason the no becomes a yes. She is the reason the late becomes on time. She is the reason the debt becomes credit. She is the reason the orphaned soul is finally, forever, home. But there is one final act. The high law of the archive states that a settlement must be cluttered with the breath of the living to be activated in the material world. I have delivered the message. I have opened the vault. I have shown you the trade. But you are the one who must apply the seal. You must perform the final signature of acceptance. This is the moment you stop being a spectator and start being the sovereign manifester. You must sign the covenant of the 333. Type 333 now. And as your fingers touch the screen, I want you to visualize a golden scepter being placed in your hand. This is not a comment. It is a sovereign decree. It is the act of a king or queen taking their seat upon a throne that has been vacant for 7 generations. When you type 333, you are telling the shadow architect, your jurisdiction is over. Your name is forgotten. I am the heir of the archive. I claim the luck. I accept the trade. I am abundance. I am protection. I am whole. Type 333 to finalize the divine exchange. Type 333 to signal to your mother that her reward has successfully reached its destination. Type 333 to tell the universe that the orphaned soul has been officially claimed by the light. As the digits 333 appear, feel the golden thread locking into your spinal column, turning your entire nervous system into a receiver for unstoppable luck. The ghost is gone. The coldness is dead. The trade is active. The wealth is flowing. The midnight threshold is dissolving. And as the light of your new reality breaks over the horizon, you will see that the desert was never your home. You were always meant for the palace. The archive is closed. The settlement is final. The life of the heir has begun. You are loved beyond words. You are seen beyond sight. You are chosen beyond destiny. 333. It is finished. It is yours. It is settled in the stars. Go now. Walk with the weight of gold in your step and the peace of the archive in your heart. You are the legacy. You are the answer. You are the abundance. Amen. 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 Tres and Trenta Tres.